Hey there, everyone. How you doing? Oh, good. Or bad, depending on what you said. How am I doing? You, of course, asked. Oh, I'm fine. It's just been a while since anything new for Wilds has been revealed.
But that's about to change! Welcome to new trailer and gameplay month, everybody! Oh, yes!
I need to go outside more.
Hello, my fellow hunters then, and yes, happy August, for it has just turned August. Well, a couple days ago now, I suppose, but that means that we are on the fast track to more Wildsy goodness. And it's at this point I need to interrupt myself and say that this discussion was made before all of the weapon previews started happening, and while everything I talk about is still completely relevant and not to do with that, thankfully, that explains why you might have watched that intro and a couple things I say in this and go, huh? But the weapons. So just getting that out there, and yeah, I will now let you enjoy the show. But I want to explore that more in depth a little later on. For now, I thought we would celebrate this clearly magnificent, momentous occasion by talking about the big things we already know. The changes, the alterations, the new fabric of Monster Hunter that Wilds is weaving in such magnificent form on a loom so colossal it'd make even Arachne blush. So without further ado, let's get into this at number 5. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but genuinely, story. An actual proper focus on a deeper narrative. Yes, World and even Rise and Sunbreak were a big step up in that front from the rest of Monster Hunter. And to be fair, 4 and 4U were also in their respective eras, a step up from everything that came before them too. And it's quite nice to track the narrative evolution of Monster Hunter through its generations, starting from kind of monsters near the village, kill 'em! All the way to now we're returning this lost child to this uncharted wilderness that we need to conquer and document for the guild, and let's be honest, of course, something disastrous will go wrong that we blame on the flagship that turns out to be the final boss Elder Dragon. And I think that is quite lovely, but it does seem that in Wild specifically, we are getting that really turned up to 11. I mean, we have these new cutscenes where our hunter actually talks to give that emotion and conveyance that we've never quite had before. We have the Palico talking to add that extra layer as well, though I can totally see most players immediately opening up the settings menu and looking for cat meows on. And then all of the characters we both start with and will meet throughout this journey. And I think journey really is it more than in any other Monster Hunter game. We know we have these locales that by themselves are like 3-4 times larger than world maps. We know they are folded in with the town. We know there are villages and local people to discover and interact with. Like, it really seems like more than ever we will actually have a proper, well, actual world to explore. And me personally, more than any other Monster Hunter, I am more excited than I have ever been to actually find out what's going to happen and why it's going to happen. Primarily because more than ever, I imagine that will be tied into my favorite aspect of Monster Hunter, which is the ecology, the nature, the animal of it. And talking of the animal of it, in number 4, well, the monsters themselves that we're hunting. There is a distinct style going on in Wilds that isn't quite there in the other games, and it's not a bad thing. But I think it is undeniably clear that the monsters in Wilds are, and forgive me for perhaps speaking the obvious, monsters. And what I mean by that, though, I figure you've already caught my drift here, is they are, more accurately than the word is, monstrous. Like even Chatacabra, who I already, again, would defend with my life, is still a bit gnarlier, a bit more raw than everything we've seen. From the brutal doshaguma in their pack packs, savaging everything before them, their faces weathered and built for the harsh environments, to the balahara with their little oyster eyes and three-pronged mouth. Like, they're a bit horror-esque, right? They're a bit creature of nightmare, and I think that's awesome. It gives this real sense that the land that we're going to be hunting across, exploring across, learning across is really, well, wild, but harsh and savage and perhaps, as we may even find out, untamable. And everything that is living there has been molded and forged by that, where survival is above anything else in a way greater than Monster Hunter has ever had before, despite that being always a theme in Monster Hunter. They are evolved with no frills, nothing unnecessary, just brutal predators that are doing what they can to keep existing in this brutal land. And that is a kind of flavor of beast we've never quite had. Even Thor Magala, who might be called Ray Dow if the Italian article that went around a while ago is to be believed, but until anything official is confirmed by Capcom, keep it with a pinch of salt. But in any case, he also has that going for him. He's the first monster we've seen that's probably the most Monster Hunter-y, right? Like Astalossi-esque in his function, but he still carries that brutalness of design that other flying wyverns just don't. And it's very exciting to me how that might happen. And not to mention, the obvious thing when it comes to monsters in Wilds is the packs. And in fact, you've got your one alpha monster leading it that you ideally want to hunt, but being swarmed by loads of large monsters, a ridiculous amount of them on the map itself. That's unlike anything we've ever had, because we've never had anything like that. Seeing 3 monsters in a zone was kind of the height of it. Whereas now you're going to be seeing a lot more, and they're going to be working together, and they're going to be trying their best to kill you as a team. And that is phenomenal. And all of that really does speak to that animalisticness that I love in Monster Hunter, and takes me nicely to point 3, which is this living, breathing environment we're going to be getting. How everything synonymously connects and clicks, down to the fact that you can watch endemic life live a full cycle, not just kind of sit on the wall as a lizard to throw a net off, but you can see them go about their time through these cycles of the environment, the weather and the seasons, which we know are a thing. You can watch a bird tend its nest with eggs, fly away, hunting insects, and then come back, so on and so forth. That is so lovely to me, and the kind of detail that gives Monster Hunter that special place in my heart. And past that, yeah, those seasons and weathers. The fact that we know that every locale is going to have these distinct states of being that it can be in. From the barren sandiness to the time of plenty when the grass returns, and it's a bit lovelier in the Windward Plains, with that in-between lightning storm, the province of Thor Magala, causing carnage, darkness, thunder to strike, and how everything has to deal with that. The herbivores with their lightning rods on their back, Thor Magala literally using it to hunt and channel his own power in a way that is so clear with just the design of his body that I spent 10 minutes talking about it. There really is such an obvious level of care to everything making sense that goes beyond even World and Iceborne, where it already was insane. And then we have the villages that are going to be dotted around with the people there seamlessly blended in, and it makes me wonder what the other locales are going to spawn, how their seasons and weather are going to play out. What's that going to factor in with the monsters that you can find at certain times and how they're going to behave? The sheer discovery of the ecology of Wilds is perhaps the single thing that I am most excited for, and I think that is absolutely fantastic, and it is a huge step up and indeed change in many ways from previous Monster Hunter. This consistent cycle of existence the locales are going to have in relation to you, because you don't leave the map, you just walk back to the hub, but it's still going on in the background. And the fact that you quest by just literally choosing the monster and then walking to it, and you have this new layered terrain, the 3D map to examine it, to really sell, yeah, this world that you're in now. I think that is just delicious. But of course, when it comes to Monster Hunter, I mean, it's hunting monsters. So at number 2, the changes to the weapons, the new moves, the reworks that might happen, hunting horn getting reverted to its more worldy iceborne state, and the new mechanics at play here with wounding monsters, the focus mode, and these special attacks that we can do to interact with the wounds. This whole thing is a really interesting take on Monster Hunter combat and looks to enhance it in so many ways. So outside of the usual, we expect new attacks, of which we've already seen a lot of them, especially with the greatsword, and oh my god, we have, just the little fact that you can have 2 weapons with you during the hunt, swap between them, interacting with the mount, the secret in that way, using it to call in and out of combat, to work with you on a fundamental level that even the Palamutes never got close to. That is kind of ridiculous. It opens up so many possibilities, synergies, combinations, like Greatsword 1 and Greatsword 2. What more do I need to say? I can have 2 great swords with me on a hunt now instead of 1. I mean, at that point there, it's just take my money, Capcom. In seriousness, though, there really is a lot that you add by literally doubling the weapon count. That is a really, really fun little addition, and I can't wait to see it play out in the larger scope of the hunting, separating monsters from the pack, the more naturally turf war fights that we see go on, even with small monsters or multi-monster battles, and then weaving that into our new arsenal. It makes me really excited for what kind of armor system, decorations, talismans, how the actual backbone statistically is going to form around everything we can now do. And I think it's fair that I have saved the biggest change to last, because it is literally the biggest change. I mentioned earlier in this that the locales are said to be like 3-4 times larger than world maps, but that really needs hammering home. The walls are being torn down. There is no barriers anymore. A seamless experience from town to quest selection to hunting the monster. Loading screens a thing of the past in a way that they never have before. World took the first step with the fully open maps, and it feels like Wilds is running now that that step has been taken. This ability to simply just flow with the world you're in, with the hunts, with the monsters, at a scope and scale that is new to the series in such, again, a literally big way. To hunt in the way that you want, to progress the story openly in the way that you want, to have that many monsters and that many options and that many tools at your arsenal, to visit the villages, to deal with what's going on there, to have these dynamic cutscenes play out contextually with the voice acting across just the big windward plains that we've already seen, never mind everything else. And I am fascinated as to how we're going to transition between locales and still maintain that openness. But the simple fact of hub, hunt, map all being bigger than ever and connected with no barriers is game-changing for Monster Hunter going forward, and it really does feel like one of those, well, once that Pandora's box is open, it can't ever really be closed, because anything other than that will surely feel so much worse. And it is so exciting for the series to be realizing what has clearly been their dream for the longest time, to get as close to their ideal Monster Hunter as they can. As they have confirmed recently at the shareholders meeting, they're planning on pushing Wilds to its absolute limit on every platform it can be in to realize this ultimate version of Monster Hunter. And that is just fabulous. So yeah, needless to say, Wilds is doing a lot, it is very exciting, and there is no end to the amount of talking about it I want to do, and let's be honest, will do. So with new information coming, it's time to open up that old speculation mobile, so stay tuned. But for now, let me know what your big, exciting changes that are happening in Wilds that get you the most hype, or even the most nervous. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below. And until we meet again, goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.